From the studios of Tucson Business Radio X, recorded in the Stewart Title corporate offices on Broadway, you are now listening to The Mark Bishop Show. And now here's your host, Mark Bishop.
Well, here we are at the very, very first, the inaugural, as they say, of the Arizona Film Expo at the TCC on the very first day of what promises to be an exciting event, hoping to really bring back the industry to Tucson like it used to be in the 50s and 60s when the Duke loved it here and a lot of other superstars as well. And it does good for Tucson, it does good for the industry. We've got a lot of talent in this city and we need a chance to be able to promote it. Now, I am very lucky and fortunate because as a young lad growing up in Australia, one of my favorite shows was Jeannie. Yeah? And the little darling with the blonde hair that used to cross her arms. Remember that one? Right. Blink, and everything would happen just as she liked it. So it's absolutely my pleasure to welcome Barbara Eden. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Thank you so much for taking the time out to have a chat with us here on Business Radio X, Tucson Business Radio. Well, you're here as a special guest. You're actually born in Tucson, weren't you?
I was born here. I didn't grow up here, but I spent a lot of time in Arizona, actually.
You actually moved, I think, to San Francisco, didn't you?
That is correct.
Okay,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you used to come here for summer holidays.
I came, yes.
At the time, right?
Other children went to camp. I came to Phoenix, actually. I had an aunt and uncle in Phoenix.
Okay.
And I it must have been very, very hot, but I didn't know it. I had a lot of fun. I was barefoot, and I run around, and we'd play in the irrigation ditches, which I'm sure they don't let you do now, but and climb the cottonwood trees and avoid
lovely.
the red ants and the scorpions, and had a good time.
You know, a lot of people leave Tucson, Barbara, to do careers, all sorts of things, but they end up coming back. I think it's the draw of the mountains.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Isn't
Beautiful
it?
weather.
It's another world.
Oh, the sky, so blue.
Well, your world turned absolutely beautiful for you. How, Frisco, we're growing up, what made you think you wanted to be an actress?
Actually, I wasn't thinking of acting. I wanted to be a singer.
Okay.
And I used to sing in church, in the choir. And my mother told me I should study. She said, you need to study voice if you really want to sing. And so I did. I went to the conservatory in San Francisco, and I sang. And then my mother heard me one day learning an aria, or I don't know, something very... and she said, Barbara, you're hitting every note perfectly, and it's beautiful, but you don't mean a word just singing. And I said, really? He said, yeah, I think you should study acting.
What, did that show or something? How would she?
Well, people tend to be very mechanical sometimes with musical instruments, and a voice can do the same thing.
Right.
So I did. I took some acting. I studied with Elizabeth Holloway's School of the Theater in San Francisco.
Okay.
And it all kind of came together.
So, am I correct in saying that the first break was, Back to Eternity? Was that your first appearance?
I guess it was.
Okay, and I think then the next break came with, which was a big one for you, How to Marry a Millionaire, right? The TV show. That was great, too.
Well, the big break, actually, was the fact that I did a play at the Laguna Playhouse, and they came to see the man working with me in the play, not me, but they asked me to come to Fox, and they tested me and put me under contract. Consequently, Fox was who produced How to Marry a Millionaire.
Okay.
And that's how I got to that.
Well, I Love Lucy, which happened to be my mother's favorite. Absolutely love Lucy. Now you appeared in that as well. Tell me what that was like working with her and Desi Arnaz.
She was wonderful. She couldn't have been better. Everything I did, she watched. The dress I wore, she made it prettier for me herself.
Really?
And
so she was a good soul.
For me, she was.
Right.
And she wanted to sign me to a contract. But I was, unfortunately, at that time, I hadn't heard about if Fox was going to pick me up or not, but they did call right when I was in that show with her, and I had to tell her that they had
I've got to leave you, honey.
Their option. They took out their option.
Took out their option.
Yeah.
So you're excited again.
Yeah.
Well, you had a dream run. Now, you did do a lot of other roles, didn't you? Like, the TV series. We get them all in Australia. We grew up on all-American television. Gunsmoke, Route 66, if I remember.
Oh, my. Yes.
Perry Mason was another one of my favorites. And you did a pilot show. Now, all of a sudden, the scales tipped a little bit here. And I'm interested to find out perhaps why, because you're a talent. It wouldn't have been that. But the Barbara Eden Show. Now, what was wrong with that, do you think, from the horse's mouth? Tell me, not the jockey. Why didn't that show go?
I don't even remember it. I'm sorry.
It made a big impression on you.
You skipped over all the movies I did at Fox and Universal Columbia.
Well, let's talk about those. Share some of those movies with me that you did with Fox and Columbia.
Oh, dear. Well, at Fox, of course, I did with Elvis Presley, which was a wonderful Western. I keep thinking The Broken Arrow, and it's not. That was my ex-husband's part. Here I am in Cochise territory, and I was married to Cochise. Did you ever see Broken Arrow?
Yes,
Australia?
I did. Yes, I did.
Michael Ansara.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Nice actor.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful, and a wonderful husband. He really was.
Yes, that's right. You married him, didn't you?
The father of my son. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And what is your son doing now? Seeing we've gone down that track.
I lost him.
I'm sorry to hear that. Is that generic public knowledge? That is well known?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
What was another good movie that you're very proud of that you did?
I loved the two movies I did with George Pal at MGM. Fox loaned me to MGM for the Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. That was the first one.
Okay, yeah.
The first time I ever went to Germany and Europe. I'd never been there. And the second one was The Seven Faces of Dr. Lau with Tony Randall.
All right, yes.
Yeah,
Tony Randall.
I loved that part. That was a wonderful part.
All right. So, movies, you're on your way. What led to I Dream of Jeannie then? What do you think, why did they think you'd be good for that?
Isn't that interesting? I wonder myself. I had been reading in the trades about this show, and they were testing all these beautiful brunettes. I mean, 6 foot tall brunettes. Miss Syria.
Because being a genie, right.
Well, yes, Miss Italy. They were all beauty contest winners, honestly.
Really?
And I thought, oh, wow.
Yeah, got no chance on that, huh?
Not for me. And then I received a script from my agent, and I read it, and I thought, this sounds familiar, And he called, and he said, do you like the script? I said, I love it. He said, well, they love you. They've made an offer. And I said, are you sure they know what I look like?
Right,
I said,
right.
I'm short, I'm blonde, I'm not anything like these creatures. He said, well, I guess so, because they did make the offer, and they would like you to meet Sidney Sheldon. And that's how I got the part. I have no idea why.
And I went from there. You weren't to know it was going to be that successful.
No. Also, I can only think that he knew people who had worked with me or he'd seen film. He had to have. He wouldn't have just cast me like that, but
right.
he did.
I have to tell you this because my wife said to me last night, please make sure you tell Barbara that when I was coming home from school, Tucson girl.
Oh.
So born and bred. And coming home from school, and she used to stop and go, boing, boing, all the time, wishing for things, to go home and watch the show as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely loved it. Alrighty, now, you went on to do Harper Valley PTA.
Yeah.
Okay, and that came into a TV series. That was very successful.
Yes.
Did you enjoy doing that one?
I loved doing it.
Yeah.
So Stella, I loved Stella. She had no boundaries. It was great. It was good.
You're also an author.
Well, not really.
You've still written.
Yes, you
want to talk about that?
Write about yourself, but that's not being an author.
Okay.
An author to me is Nelson DeMille, or
Okay. If you're going to look at it from that point of view, so you're doing you've done a bit of an autobiography. Is there anything in the book that people might be surprised about? Because you're speaking from the heart, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't. They'd have to read it. I don't know if they'd be surprised or not.
You're a special guest here at this very first, the inaugural big one here at the TCC, the Arizona Film Festival. Yeah, I guess you feel honored in a lot of ways to be invited here today.
Indeed, I do.
I'm holding a proclamation in my hand, Barbara Eden Appreciation Day. And it's signed by the mayor, Jonathan Rothschild. Whereas Barbara Eden was born in the city of Tucson, Arizona, August 23, to Hubert and Alice Mary Franklin Morehead. And whereas at age 16, Barbara became a member of Actors Equity. And whereas in 1951, Barbara was crowned Miss San Francisco. And whereas Barbara Eden became one of America's most beloved and enduring characters in the title role of the television show I Dream of Jeannie. And whereas over the course of her 65-year career in film, television, theater and music, she has entertained and brought great joy to her fans in Tucson, in Arizona, and throughout the world. Now, therefore, I, Jonathan Rothschild, Mayor of the City of Tucson, Arizona, do hereby proclaim October the 15th, 2019, to be Barbara Eden Appreciation Day. Isn't that lovely?
Woo! It is lovely. It is.
It's exciting.
Is. Yes, it is.
All right. Well, you've got a lot going on, and I've taken enough of your time. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
On the Mark
Thank
Bishop
you
Show on Tucson Business Radio. I wish you luck with your anything exciting new, or are you just going to enjoy now life? Or?
No, I'm going to do a film in January in Romania.
In Romania?
But I want to tell you, I was in Australia about 7 months ago.
Really?
And I go there quite often.
Oh, you do? Good on you.
Yeah. For the autograph shows.
Okay. All right.
So this time it was Sydney and Perth.
Okay.
And because we were in Perth, we also went out to Rottnest Island.
With all the quokkas.
Yes!
Aren't they gorgeous?
Yeah, oh, my God, they're adorable.
Yeah. People think the kangaroos are little baby joeys, but they're not. You know, they're very separate again, for what they are.
They're so sweet.
Yeah.
Come over and nuzzle you, for a leaf.
Well, if you've been quite a few times down under then, you would have cuddled koala bears.
Oh, yes.
And you would have also been feeding the roos.
Yes.
You would have done all the things,
yes,
right?
I did.
Yeah, it's a lovely country, isn't it?
Wonderful.
I'm from Melbourne's my hometown.
Melbourne.
You went to Melbourne then, because Melbourne and Sydney always had a bit of competitive.
Yeah,
but Sydney's the harbour.
Yeah.
Sydney has the beautiful harbour and the walk. I bet you didn't walk the bridge, huh?
No. Never will.
That's a game thing to do, I tell you.
Will.
It's a beautiful view overlooking the harbour and Sydney Harbour, the Opera House.
Okay, I can see that in an airplane.
You don't need to go on the down bridge to do that.
Scary. Oh, my goodness, that's frightening.
Oh, yeah. So that's great. And now, you've now done Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth.
Brisbane.
And you've done Brisbane. Notice you didn't say
Gold
Brisbane. Very good.
Brisbane.
Gold Coast, right?
Gold Coast.
Oh, you've done it all.
Adelaide.
The city of churches. And did you go to the wineries at all?
Yes.
Up in the Barossa Valley?
Yes.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
Wow, you could be a tourist guide for Australia.
Well, that's over many years.
Yeah, many different times.
Yes.
And the Australians love you, so they always accepted you very well, I bet.
Oh, they're lovely.
Very warm and friendly people. They're good.
Wonderful.
All right. That's wonderful. I'm so glad you've been down under. I talk to so many Americans. I've lived here over 16 years. So many want to go. It's on their bucket list, but they think it's too far. But no.
Oh, but the flight's so comfortable.
Sleep at night,
You
all
just
night
sleep.
long. You're
You
there.
wake up and you're there.
And you're there. There it goes. Well, thank you, Barbara Eden. It's been an absolute pleasure. I wish you luck and wonderful. Can you anything about the movie you want to whisper? What's it called? The new one?
I don't know what it's called. It's
Okay.
a Christmas movie.
Oh, it's a Christmas movie.
I do know that. I haven't seen the script yet.
Oh, so you're shooting next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Romania?
Yeah.
All righty. That'll be interesting.
I did one for the same production company there at Universal called The Adventures of Santa. I did that last October, I guess, a year ago, but it's going to be released this year.
Fabulous. Good. All the very best with that.
Always
I'll make a point of going to see it.
Really cold doing those movies.
Well, stay rugged up, all right?
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Barbara Eden. My special guest here, first of many today, but very special guest of the Arizona Film Expo, the inaugural Film Expo, here at the TCC in Tucson, Arizona. very interesting day here so far, continuing on with our chats with those who are famous and the infamous. We heard from the lovely Barbara Eden, and now we're going to speak to a fellow. You may remember his name, maybe not, but he was a pretty, well, he is a famous actor, really, particularly with Westerns, but he didn't start off that way. His name is Gary Clarke. Hello, Gary.
Hiya. How you doing, Mark?
It's nice to have you. Now, you're a downtown L.A. born and bred.
Yes, that's right.
Early career, really, you were in high school plays, right?
Yeah, I did that, and everybody does a senior play in high school.
Yeah.
And I did mine, and fortunately or unfortunately, whatever, I was the lead, the female lead. Her mother drug along to see the senior play, a gentleman by the name of Doc Bishop, and I found out later that he was a talent scout for 20th Century Fox. He came up to me after the show, and he said, Gary, I counted all the scenes that you stole, and I want to see you out at the studio. And my reaction was, yeah, sure, okay. And he gave me his card. The female lead's mom was giving me signals from the back. Yes, it's true. And I found out that this guy who discovered Shirley Temple. So he said, I'd like to see you at the studio. And I said, well, it's going to take me about 15 minutes to change. How was that? He said, no, we can do it next week. So I went out there and I met him, and I met producers, and they wanted to put me under contract. I was 17. He said, we got to wait till you're 18 because we don't want to mess with the parents. I said, okay. He says, no, don't get arrested, don't get married, don't join the army, don't just, okay. Sure, absolutely. I got married.
Right.
So I called him. He wanted me to call him on my birthday, but I didn't. I called him not in August, in November. And I said, hi, Doc. He says, hi, Gary, how you doing? I said, okay. He said, weren't you 18 in August? I said, yeah. Why didn't you call? Well, he says, I understand you got married. I said, yes, I did. Click. Bzzz. I thought we were disconnected. I called back. The secretary answered and says, Gary, don't call here anymore. Doc only allows people to disappoint him once. And she hung up. And that was it. And I figured, oh, my God. Killed before I even get started.
Good Lord. Wow. What a story that is. Now, what about from there on? That same scout, he was the one that discovered Shirley Temple, wasn't he?
Right, yes.
Okay. So what happened after all of that then? What did you do? What was the next big job?
Well, I did all kinds of little theater work around town. An agent saw me, signed me, and there was this movie, this teenage movie that they were doing. They're going to do the whole thing for $100,000, something like that.
Right.
And they were making hundreds of them. So I was working in a machine shop at the time because that's what I was doing. And I auditioned every day for 5 days. And my hair was brown. And they were looking. They thought, that's not them, though.
No, he's just rolling in a truck. There we go.
Okay. So the director was saying, well, maybe the lead should have blonde hair because he's a good guy, and we want him. Everybody, it was that. I'm not kidding. That was the way they looked at it. But me, I went home. My mother was working at a beauty shop. 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the people that worked with her was bleaching my hair. So I went in the next day, and I had blonde hair, and I think that's the reason I got the job. My first professional job was a lead in a movie called Drag Strip Riot.
Drag Strip Riot. By gee, that brings back a few memories, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Now, okay. Now, we're here at the film festival. This is the inaugural Arizona Film Festival. All sorts of things going on. You came today to do what? What does an actor do with your experience? Do you live in Tucson?
No. I live in Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. You made a special trip to come here.
Yeah.
What do you expect to see at a film festival like this?
Well, my intention, and along with the people who invited me, is to bring the film industry back here to Arizona. And as long as I'm here, I will mention Texas, because we'd like to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Great places to film, incredible actors, great production people. We don't need to have necessarily a Hollywood company come out and do that. And Hollywood is kind of moving in another more political direction right now. So independent producers, new companies like that, coming to this state, coming to Utah, coming to Texas to do their films is what we're promoting here.
Out of Hollywood. What's it like in Texas, though? Do you have is there a government grant involved, money back? I mean, what's the pull to go to Texas?
There isn't. And that's the point.
Well, how are you doing it then? Because we've got the same battle here in Arizona.
Yeah.
It used to be the hub of movies. The Duke used to come here all the time.
Yeah.
Lots of Hollywood stars, right? Lots of great movies were made.
I lived in Phoenix. I was here when we did Young Writers. I did Tombstone when I was here.
Mm-hmm.
And
which version? Tombstone.
With Kurt Russell.
The Kurt Russell version.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen them all. I love them all.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now let me think of you. Your role in that was what? Refresh me.
Okay. Kurt gets off the train, sees somebody smack his horse, and he goes down, takes the reins from the guy, smacks him across the face, and then he turns, and the guy in a derby tries to enroll him to become a marshal again. I'm the guy in the derby.
Right, oh, that's Gary Clarke, ladies and gentlemen.
So the next time you see it, next time you look, and you go, oh, yeah, that's the guy.
That's the guy.
Right.
By gee, he's changed a little. You did a lot of Westerns.
Yeah, I did Hondo. I was on Hondo, and I was under contract to Universal Studios, and I did all the Wagon Train and Laramie and all,
Great movies. Not many Westerns are made these days, are there?
No, but we were just talking about it in another room, and they seem to be coming back. Because I was told years ago, Westerns are out of style.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want to see a Western anymore, but they do. I have a quick story.
All right, by all means, yeah.
A lot of Westerns were done in the 50s, TV shows. And those celebrities get together from time to time, and we meet, and we have a table like this, and people come, and they buy our pictures, and we sign them, and we chat with them. Mm-hmm. And it's like that, fans from those days. And when Jim and Doug and I, who were the leads on the Virginian, back then we were wondering if the show was going to have any substance, if it was going to have legs, if it was going to hang on for a while. I'm sitting at the table 2 years ago, and this couple comes up, and they're 30-ish, and they have a little 9-year-old girl with them, the kind that hangs onto daddy's leg. Mm-hmm. And they introduced me to her, and she kind of grabbed his leg harder. And we're talking, and at one point, we were talking all about the Virginian and various, little bits and pieces. And at one point, he turns to his daughter and he says, "Honey, this is Mr. Gary Clarke. He plays Steve on the Virginian." Well, I'm telling you, Mark, her eyes got as big as saucers.
Yeah.
She got up, ran around the table, and gave me a hug. I almost burst into tears.
There you go.
And it answered the question that Doug and Jim and I had way back when. Mm-hmm. I mean, after all these years, this family is allowing their daughter to watch the Virginian.
Well, my friend, when you're acting and you're in movies and they're seen all over the world, it's very powerful what you do to people's emotions.
Yeah.
So you're not just an actor. You're a human deliverer of enjoyment. So that's marvelous.
Contributing that is huge for me.
Who's the? Well, I don't want to use the word best. What can we say about whom you've worked with? Because they're all different, they're all unique in their own way. You hear of different stories. In Australia when they were making The Irishman and quite a few other things there. I've interviewed many different stars, but they all seem to be unique in their own way. Some like to go out and play up at night. Others tell jokes. Others get smashed all the time.
Yep.
Then you get those that will help other actors on set. Then you get those that, don't want to go near you. I mean, you've worked with quite a few. Is there anybody that stands out that was...
Oh, absolutely. I've no problem. I worked with Lee J. Cobb.
Okay.
He was the patriarch on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the first couple of months,
I remember him.
Lee J. Cobb.
Big jaw, yeah.
Yeah, and a powerful actor. Brilliant actor. Tony's Death of a Salesman on Broadway.
Right.
And here he is. I'm working with him every day, and I'm in awe of the man, so much so that I can't say 3 words to him.
Right.
So after 3 months, I tell Jim and Doug, listen, I can't do this anymore. I got to talk to Lee. Maybe he can tell me something that will help. So at least I can have some semblance of intelligence when I talk to him. So they said, okay. We drive out to location. I'm in the back seat of the limousine. On the left, Doug is in the middle. Lee's on the other side. When we get there, Jim and Doug and the driver get out. And I'm sitting there with Lee Cobb, and I'm sweating. I'm terrified. And he lights up his. I don't know if they told him or not, but he lights up his cigar. He loves Cuban cigars. Doesn't look at me. Just smoke curls out. And I finally said, Lee, listen, we're working together. I think it's incredible that I have this opportunity to work with you. But I find that, excuse me, when I'm around you, I can't put 3 words together. I can't make a sentence that makes any sense.
Yeah, like I'm in awe of you, man. I mean.
So, exactly. I said, yeah, I am. I'm in awe of you. And I thought maybe you might have something that you could say to me that would help me handle it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Another minute goes by. It seemed like an hour. Maybe it was 2 or 3 minutes. And he smokes. A curl of smoke goes out of his mouth. And I figured this is really going to be profound when he finally tells me. But he doesn't say anything. He's just looking out, smoking. And maybe he didn't hear me. I said, so, Lee, I don't want to intrude, but I figure we're going to be working together for a couple of years, maybe. That would be wonderful if we could do that, but I don't want to have to put up with not being able to talk to you. So I was hoping that there might be something. So
yeah, break the ice with me. Help me do.
Yeah, what can you tell me? Nothing. So I really got ticked off, and I finally said, well, excuse me, all to hell. Just excuse me, I'm sorry I intruded on your space, and you know where you can stick that cigar. To Lee J. Cobb. But I didn't care. I got out.
I don't blame you.
Now, ironically, virtually all of my scenes that day were with Lee. And I'm doing the scenes, and I'm just tearing up the scenery. And halfway through the day, the director comes up and says, I don't know what you're doing, Gary, but keep it up. It's great. Now, the last shot is Lee and I on a horse. We have a little scene, a couple of words, and we leave. And we're on a location, so I'm pacing back and forth, still ticked off. Lee's in his director's chair, smoking his cigar, and I'm pacing back and forth, just sitting there, and I can feel him watching me. So I look over, he's got this little twinkle in his eye. And it hit me like a 2x4 in the forehead. And I went over and I said, you son of a gun, you did that on purpose.
Deliberately.
And he got up and gave me this huge hug. And it turned my life around, Mark. I mean, that an actor of that stature would take the time to do something like that for someone like me.
That's pretty cool. That's great.
So
you learned a lot from that.
That's the guy.
So what are you doing these days? What are you working on now? Or, I mean, an actor never dies, right? You're always there.
Oh, yeah.
You've always got agents.
Don't quit. My credo is, I'll take it. What is it?
Yeah, right. Oh, you're not paying? Oh, I see.
Eventually I'll get around to how much. But I did a short film. They're doing a lot of short films now, and I read the script and loved it. The director, the lady who wrote it and directed it, has already gotten 2 awards just for the script.
Oh.
So it should be done by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're going to be looking for it. And it was so much fun.
What's it called? Tell us about it.
I think it's called, I'm not sure. I think it's called IRA Cash In.
IRA Cash In.
Yeah, like that. But I can tell you.
A little bit without giving it all away. What was your role, as an example?
I was the part of a couple. My wife was 70, and in the script it says, I'm older.
Mm-hmm.
So when the scene opens, I'm putting a gun in my wife's thigh holster, and then I put a shoulder holster on her, and we rob a bar, get a lot of money, go out to the car, open the trunk, open a suitcase, which is already filled with money, and we stuff more money in it. But I don't want to tell you what the money's for because that'll...
No.
Yeah.
All right. So what is it? It's not a comedy.
No, it is.
It's a drama comedy.
Yes, dramedy.
A dramedy.
Yeah.
All right. And where was it made?
Right in Austin.
In Austin, Texas.
Yes.
All right. Not a big budget film?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I got a few bucks for it. I got paid. That's all.
You want to know something funny? When I first came to the States, I was in Phoenix and hadn't really sorted out what I was going to do because I hadn't got married to the lady that really I came over for to America. And my first job was calling up penny stocks to back another film made by the guy who did The Howling. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Here I am wanting to be an actor, and I'm on the phone to raise money for another, whatever, but good experience. Because what goes on in this industry behind the scenes is unbelievable. You've got to be big, haven't you, for the industry to really want to put big money behind you. Big name actor or big name actress, they're actors today too. But what do you call them? The stable of like the Foxes and the Universals and So you were with Fox, right? Were you with Fox?
No, I was with Universal.
You were with Universal, okay. Are those days changing? Do you think it's going to be more indie films or what?
Tell you the truth, I hope so. Like I said, Hollywood's becoming very political, and it's...
That's not good, is it?
No, if you don't agree with certain political views, you don't work. And it wasn't like that.
That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. And those, I've been hearing about those that do share, whom they might get involved with, and next minute they're out of a job.
Yes.
Never mind not getting work. Even if they are working, they're snubbed. So,
yes.
No, that's ridiculous. All right, so anything you can share to maybe an up-and-coming young fellow or young lady, that their dream more than anything in the world is they think is to be on that silver screen or to be a really good actor. What would you advise them, Gary Clarke?
I have two daughters. One is 18, one is 25, and they're both actors. And they are, and I am prejudiced, but I don't lie. They are brilliant. And my conversations with them all the time is don't try to pretend or do it the way you think they might want you to do it or the way you think Marlon Brando or Meryl Streep would do it. You do it as you because you're the only you there is. And every time they do it, damn if they don't get a job.
There you go.
So that would be my advice.
But under the direction, though, of the director.
Absolutely.
Be yourself.
Yes.
Know your lines.
Oh, yeah. Don't trip over the furniture.
And don't trip over the furniture. But be yourself is the biggest thing within those lines, those characters. Thank you, Gary. It's been an absolute pleasure, Gary Clarke. Definitely going to go and look up a couple of those movies again. And say, there he is. There he is.
That's right. Thank you,
we were lucky
Mark.
to have him on the Mark Bishop Show on Tucson Business Radio. This could end up anywhere around the world, so you never know. But thanks for coming to help out Tucson in reference to, our inaugural film festival, because we really need to get those dollars back into this city.
Yes.
That's good for
everybody. Anything I can do, I will do it. If they want me to come back, I will.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Mark.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Goodbye.